What's up, guys? Arthur here and Jake. Today we're going to be sharing our story, or my story, of how I went from zero real estate experience to over 260 doors built. And I think we've done over 50 deals in the wholesale space.
Come on.
So we've got new construction, wholesale, and development.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get started. So where are we at?
My
What are we doing?
understanding is you started in cars. So what even got you into cars? Why were you fascinated with them?
So my dad was in the auto industry. That's what I grew up in. You know, you always want to be like your dad. But the ironic thing is my dad always said, don't do what I'm doing.
Really?
And that stuck with me because I was doing what he was doing. At 15 years old, I did my first car. The way that I saved up to even buy my first car was washing dishes.
Wow.
So I would wash dishes for weddings. There'd be like
No way.
400, 500 person weddings. And I'd get paid, I don't even remember what it was, but typically in a 3-4 hour setting, I'd probably get $100, $200. And this is when I was 14, 15 years old. And so I'd do this for this wedding venue company.
Not by hand, right?
I'd wash them. Well, we would soak them. We would actually. We'd do it by hand. We'd soak them in the sink. We'd bring them out, and then we'd wipe everything down. And so I had to wash these by hand. And really, I was just drying, because if you don't dry it, they would have the stains.
Right.
So I was the person drying all 300 dishes, but it was really 600 because you have the main plates and the dessert plates. Anyway, so I saved up maybe $1,500, and you know, I was never taught to work a job. I was taught to, you know, the harder you work, the more you can make. So I got paid per wedding, and so the harder and faster I worked, the more I made. It was never a per hour thing, and I saved up enough to buy my first Volkswagen Golf. The Volkswagen Golf, it was a red Golf with chrome wheels, slightly lifted, and it was, you know, it was damaged on the front and the rear, just scuffs, bumper from an auction. That's what my dad did, and I ended up selling it and made around $1,800. So I spent like $2,000 and walked away with $3,800. And even though my dad was saying, don't do that, he says, number one is real estate, number two is trucking, and number three is cars. I did what I knew, because I'd go to his shop. He had all these cars. This is what he was doing. And so I ended up flipping from that to 30, 40 cars a year.
Wow.
And
Sheesh.
yeah, at that same time, I was searching, because my dad's telling me, don't do this. I'm going to throw this on Do Not Disturb. My dad's telling me, don't do this, and go ask around. Go look into the other industries, look into trucking, look into real estate. And so I started asking around. I'd ask people that are doing trucking. I'd ask people that are in real estate. And the sad thing is, the response I got, I said, hey, can you teach me? I'll work for you for free. Like, can I just learn from you? And everybody had the same answer. I don't have time. No, I'm good. So that was my journey, and then I started getting into courses. So I bought a wholesale course, which is ironic, and you know, that's what I do, I don't know, 7 years later. But I bought a wholesale course. I bought a consulting course. I saw a guy in a video with a Lamborghini, and he's like, all you have to do is be a consultant. I didn't even understand what that was. So I was like, I don't know what consulting is, but I'm going to do this course. It was like $500. I bought another course. It was affiliate marketing. So I just got on this thing of nobody wants to help me, so I'm going to buy all these courses and try to figure this out myself. I bought the Tai Lopez course, 67 steps.
Nice.
So I was searching. Honestly, I was searching, and at that same time, I stayed active. Like, that was the big thing for me, is I'm not going to stop everything that I'm doing. I'm going to keep flipping cars and pushing. And while I'm doing that, try to get into the real estate space. And
What was your end goal, like, other than just getting out of what your dad is doing? Was there another goal, or was it just like, all right, do something else because you told me to do something else?
that's a really good question. I wish I could go back in time and see what I was thinking. I bought a bunch of books too. I started reading books. But I really think I listened to my dad. You know, he said get into real estate, and then I started watching Grant Cardone. And those kind of guys. At that time, there was not too many. You know, Grant was one of the bigger ones. He was up and coming. He would do this YouTube thing every week, and he would just do live calls. And people would ask these questions like, I have 100,000, what should I do? And he would always say, don't buy a house. Go build 100 or buy 100 units. And I'm this like 16-year-old, 17-year-old kid thinking, 100 units, what the heck? You're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I just had a drive. I don't know what it was. And then I flew to Texas from a Facebook message.
Really?
As crazy as that sounds, yeah. So I started getting into Facebook groups and meetups because, was it Grant? I don't know. Somebody that I listened to said the first step to getting into real estate is just start networking. So I don't know if I took Ruben, but I remember I took somebody with me. I went to a meetup locally. It was like this investor meetup and people that buy and sell houses. So I'm like coming to these groups as this kid. I put on a suit and a tie. So I was like, I'm going to at least look good.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to this free meetup. It was like 40 people. And then I somehow got on this wholesale meetup, and there was another 30 people. I still have all the cards. I have everybody's business card that was doing wholesale. And then from those meetups, I joined Facebook meetups and ended up meeting this lady. Her name was Shiwei, and she was in mobile homes, and she was in Texas. And I shared my story. I shared what I'm trying to do. I don't have real estate experience, but I'm flipping cars. She invited me to go live in Texas with her.
Wow.
And I remember the moment I ended up working for my dad. So I said, flipping cars, I decided, you know, I'm going to work with him and for him, part-time. And I'm standing in his junkyard because he owns this junkyard. And I'm 17 years old. And I tell my dad, I said, Dad, I want to go to Texas. And I want to learn real estate and mobile homes. And I have a feeling I should go.
Mm-hmm.
Our family is super tight-knit. Like, no one ever goes anywhere. The only time you ever go somewhere is, like, Bible college, right? Dad's like, oh, you want to go to Bible college? Go. That's totally cool. But for business at 17 years old, that's kind of crazy. So I end up, you know, he says, for some reason, somehow, he just said, okay. And I was shocked myself, so I packed up my suitcase and flew out to Texas. New Braunfels, Texas. I think it's between Austin and San Antonio. It's right in the middle. And I'm living with this lady, her husband, and their 5-year-old kid. And I have my guitar, my Bible, and a room. No car, nothing. And I'm there for maybe a month. And the other lady that's the actual, like, mobile home guru, she figured this thing out. Like, she's building this massive 6,000 square foot house. I'm like, okay, that's the lady. This other lady just connected me with her.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, when we met, we were talking, she became really closed off. So she actually wasn't teaching me anything.
The guru or
the guru?
Oh, wow.
The lady that I was with was awesome.
Yeah.
She didn't have much real estate experience, but she was just a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of confused. I'm like, dude, I took this risk. Like, I did it, and I'm not being taught anything. Jeez. Instead, she says, hey, if you find me somebody that has some money, I'll pay you a finder's fee for bringing somebody in that wants to buy a mobile home with me. And at that same time, I'm sitting there, not 8 hours, you're talking 15 hours. Like, we would go out for 2-3 hours because I would not do anything with the guru. She didn't want to bring me to her meetings, none of that.
Wow.
And so instead, I'm with the lady that brought me to Texas. And I would go to different meetups. Like, once a day, I'd go to random investor meetups, and that was it. Like, I have a 15-hour day, and 2 of it is productive, and that's it. So I decided, like, this is not going to happen. I'm not just going to sit here. And so I went on YouTube, and that's how I really got exposed to Grant. And I would be watching his content every single day.
Wow.
And then I would go to Facebook groups. What's that? Somethinginvestor.com. I don't remember the platform. And I would literally just DM people. Hey, are you looking to get into mobile homes? Hey, are you looking to get into mobile homes? And I had one couple actually bring in capital and invest, and I got paid for it. And just for a referral fee. And I got paid more than I made on cars, which was really awesome. So my hard work and hustle paid off, but what really paid off is me sitting there watching these YouTube videos of Grant.
Mm-hmm.
just literally Grant. He was doing commercial real estate. So I had no experience in real estate, but I was running numbers with him. And when people say, like, you're the numbers guy, Ruben might say, like, oh, you're the numbers genius. That right there, and it doesn't take a lot of time. That was 1 month of me just straight running numbers every day.
Wow.
That's what I was doing every single day. And that's what Grant would say is, the only thing you should do is know that it's a good deal. And knowing it's a good deal all comes down to the numbers and value add. And, you know, someone might ask, like, what's value add? What in this deal, in this project that you're looking at, where can I add the value?
Mm-hmm.
Is the value in building? So if you built it, it cost you 20% less. Okay, so your value add is building it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an existing building, is it remodeling it and raising rents? Well, no, there's not as much cushion in raising rents. Well, this apartment complex, like Grant would do this, this apartment complex has no assigned parking. So you charge $25 per parking spot, and now you've raised the value of the building by $1 or $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
So he would do all these different creative things, and he called it value add.
Right.
And we had an opportunity to go to the 10X Growth Con, which is Grant Cardone.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm over here watching Grant Cardone, and then this lady, her name is Shiwei, she's like, hey, we can actually go to Miami from Texas and be at the Grant Cardone conference. At that time, it was 1,800 people are there. And now it's probably 30 to 40,000 people show up. So it's this massive stadium of people.
Jeez.
And so I got to go there. I think Damon John, I always forget his name. I think it's Damon John, Grant Cardone, Russell Brunson. Yeah, Russell Brunson. Like all these top dogs were there. Andy Frisella, you know, the 75-day hard challenge. So all these guys are there, and they were up and coming in 2017.
Wow.
They were not there yet, but I got to listen to all these guys. I have a notebook. I have all my notes of everything I learned from them. And anyways, I go back to Texas. I'm supposed to stay there. There was not really a time frame.
Mm-hmm.
But going to the 10X, I was ready to go home. I was like, dude, I'm ready to just take action. And here, I'm not just going to sit and watch YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And so my family was in Florida. I flew back to Texas, and my family went for a vacation in Florida. And my excuse to get out was, hey, my family's in Florida. I'm going to go visit them and spend some time with them. Well, I went to visit them and spend some time, and I wrote them back, and I said, hey, guys, I'm not coming back. So I ended up flying back home. And I realized one of those, I don't know who said it, but one of them said, if you can't provide value, you can provide time. What do you think that means?
I don't know. You can't provide value. You can provide time.
If I'm not smart,
Yeah.
the only thing I can trade my smarts for is time.
Yeah.
So I told myself, well, if I can trade time, that means I got to go work for free. Go offer someone, hey, I'll come work for free. I'll do everything that I can. And that was my mentality. I don't have any real estate experience. All I have is YouTube. All I have is what I learned from the 10X Growth Con. And so instead, I'm literally just going to go and knock on doors and try to work for free for somebody. So I went to a flipper. He said no. I went to a few other events. They're like, no, we're not really looking for anyone from free. I realize a lot of business owners, I don't know what it is. They're like scared to bring somebody in that's more entrepreneurial. When I realized I would encourage it, because those are the kind of people that will, one, help the company be successful.
Yeah.
And no matter if they learn the trade or they learn whatever, they will most likely bring you so much more value that it's worth it.
That's good.
And anyways, through a friend's mentor, I end up getting a meeting set up with this developer here in town. And he was too busy for coffee, too busy for lunch. I always offered, like, can I buy you a coffee? Can I take you out to lunch? He's like, but I have 15 minutes in my office if you want to stop by. This time, this day. Bro, I got so nervous. I was like, shoot, I'm meeting this dude. So I put together this whole questionnaire on what I'm going to ask him. And I'm studying this questionnaire because it's like right when I fly back from Texas, I get this meeting set up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching YouTube videos. How do I talk to a mentor? What questions do I ask a mentor?
That's good.
And I set up this meeting, and I have nothing to do with all that I studied. I just shared my story, how I'm flipping cars,
Yeah.
went to Texas, and he says, okay, you're trying to get into real estate. You're doing this car thing. Why real estate? And the only thing that I learned from Grant Cardone was one thing: value add. And I said, well, I know in real estate you have multiple exit strategies for the value add.
Wow.
Very simple. It's not like you're doing one thing in real estate. There's 100 different ways that you can get creative in a real estate deal to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is he said, as soon as you said that word, something inside me said, I have to offer you. I never even asked to work for free, but he said, I have to offer you an opportunity to just come work for free.
Wow.
Just to get get your foot in the door. It wasn't me saying, I'll come work for you, I'll do anything. Literally, it's crazy. But all of these things and all of these sequences of me having a feeling to go to Texas, and somehow my dad said, sure, because I'm under his household, I'm not even 18 yet. And, I honor my dad, so I would never go against his word.
Mm-hmm.
He offers me this job for free. And the long story short of that is I ended up developing thousands of lots. Starbucks, Jiffy Lube, Chase Bank.
Through that guy?
So I worked for a month for free.
Yeah.
And I put all of my effort into it, like as if this is $1 million job. And they saw the effort I put in, and they said, you want to come work full time as a project manager assistant, a junior project manager.
Yeah.
And from being a junior, within 6 months, I was promoted to a lead project manager and acquisition manager. So I was finding deals for them, and I was managing projects.
Come on.
And, Starbucks, Jiffy Lube, Chase Bank, Chipotle, Killer Burger. I would do these commercial developments, and then 200-unit apartment complexes. I would be managing the development, putting everything together, putting all the paperwork together, going through the city, going through the process, and over 1,000 lots.
Sheesh.
And so, in the first 6 months, I found my own deal on the side for them, meaning my job was project management. And he said, if you have extra time, find projects. I'll give you a finder's fee. I'll give you a percentage. And so on my off hours, I was negotiating. I went and met with sellers, and I signed a contract and then sold it to a developer for a 90 grand spread. And to me, that was like that aha moment. That's crazy. That you can literally make $90,000 with just your time. And that was my, I don't know if you call that epiphany. I don't know what it is. But that was my aha moment of, I can do this for life. I don't have to go flip a car. I don't need to go put money down and then fix the car. If it has issues, check engine lights, whatever, and then go sell it for a 1 to 3 grand profit. I can just understand and learn the art of the deal, and that's everything. And depending on how well you can learn that skill is how much you can make on a single deal.
That's good.
And, then we did a 300K deal. It was like a 500 lot subdivision. All we did is sign the paperwork, sign the contract, and we sold it to another developer, or assigned is the right word. And he paid us that fee. He didn't even close on the property because it was a 1-year contract. We didn't close for a whole year, but he paid us out the 300 grand, and he went through with it and closed on it, developed it, sold it to a national builder. So,
legit.
When somebody puts value to knowledge, I never understood that because cars was simple. And I was trying to get into fix and flip. And now I realize fix and flip is so simple. Development's more complicated, but that's where the bigger dollars are.
Yeah.
So that's my story of how I got into real estate. Then there's the story of what happened next, right?
Yeah.
And the short of it is we got really aggressive. I built my first investment home, made $53,000. The way I got that money was I sold all my cars. I think I had $40,000 or $45,000 to my name. And I just got married, and when you get married, it's like, you're scared, but I took the risk. Ruben built his first house, and I followed his steps. We both built our first houses, and then we went to 4, 6, 8, 12, 15-unit apartment complexes, and that's it from here.
That's good.
Yeah.
What would you recommend to someone getting into real estate? Because what I'm hearing from you is you did your due diligence in studying, learning how to run the numbers, learning how to be the add value. So what would you recommend to somebody else that's also looking to get into real estate?
I went backwards. So I started from the commercial 100-unit Grant Cardone
Mm-hmm.
to then development deals, commercial real estate, to residential development deals, to building houses, and now we do wholesale as well. So I think to somebody just getting started, there's fast money, medium money, and slow money. Fast money is wholesale. You find a property owner that wants to sell their property. You find a investor, flipper,
Mm-hmm.
and you're the middleman, and you take a fee. Your first deal could be $1,000, could be $5,000. Mine was $6,800. And you get really good at that. Very little capital, but more time. Fast
Yeah.
money. You can get paid as quick as 10 days. Medium money, I would say, is flipping or building.
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand and perfect the wholesale, that teaches you the art of the deal. You can then be comfortable running the numbers and taking it to that next level of actually putting in capital.
Right.
Once you get there, you can either one, have some rentals, two, and then you can get into the bigger scale stuff. So just getting started, personally, if I could go back in time, I would have wholesaled. I had so much opportunity. I was in Texas walking streets, and a buddy that did wholesale was literally telling me how to do it. For some reason, it wasn't clicking in my head.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I don't know if I was scared of the risk. I don't know. But I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And so I would say that's the easiest barrier to entry. There's a lot of competition, a lot of young dudes doing it, but I don't know, there's hundreds of millions of properties
Mm-hmm.
in the United States and that much opportunity to take it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd say to get into real estate.
That's good. What's your big vision, big goal? I don't think I've ever asked you guys this, but do you plan on being like those other builders that you guys worked for, to be building thousands and managing huge companies, or what's the goal?
The big vision or goal, I would say, is big vision or goal for me would be,
Fine.
that was a nice catch. That was sick. The big vision or goal would be first to build cash flow. I've had a few people comment on TikTok and Instagram, why are you selling all these projects? Why don't you build them? The goal for me is to accumulate. So there's an accumulation phase, and then there's a stabilize phase.
Right.
I'm in accumulation still, even though we've done so much, because I want to accumulate enough capital to do one or two bigger deals, meaning rentals. I don't want to have rentals scattered. I would love to have if there's 3 states that I like, a 50 unit in this state, a 50 unit in this state. Do we need new
I
mics?
apologize. 2 mics because we're on Instagram Live. People are commenting, waiting at you guys.
That's
right?
crazy.
All right.
We're also doing a podcast.
You
So
got it
Instagram
delayed?
Live.
2 mics, yeah.
Oh, praise God.
So the big thing for me would be, accumulate and then have 3, 4, 5 different locations of 50 to 100 doors.
Mm-hmm.
If it's apartment complexes. Or the secondary option, what I like, is commercial real estate. I would probably build it. I've seen it. I've managed it. I've done all the parts.
Yeah.
And it's complicated, but if you follow the process, it's possible. And have a Starbucks, a Jiffy Lube. I got to see that process. So I would personally, if I had rentals, it would be multifamily and commercial real estate. Single family is good. Maybe build out a single family subdivision, 20 or 30 houses, and keep that. So right now I'm still in the accumulation phase. Once you accumulate, and let's say you have those rentals, what my big dream or vision would be is going to different cities and bringing to that community what's lacking, development related. So
That's good.
I know specific cities and friends that say, we literally don't have a fun center here. Like a Big Al's, an arcade,
Yeah.
bowling, the whole 9 yards. Or like a Topgolf, right? A fun center. So I would go to those areas and I would love to be part of that and build and develop this fun center.
Wow.
I know they'll be profitable because there is a large population, at least I would say 500,000 people, and it's lacking that, right?
Yeah.
The other one would be Post Hotel is super popular. Take that vision, and in certain areas where there's a net worth or a, you know, like I can't imagine that somewhere in the hills of Beverly, 3-4 hours away in the mountain, and you have that style spa, dude, it would crush it. It costs a lot of money, but it'll crush it.
Yeah.
So those ideas, for me, I've seen it so many times. I'm like, man, this city is missing this. Because we're trying to go do something fun. Or, oh, this city is missing this. And to start doing those kind of developments, you're talking, you know, it's bigger risk. Most likely you'll have a fund. You're going to raise capital. These are going to be $100, $200 million projects. I've been part of these $50 to $200 million projects. The company was doing a $1 billion project when I was leaving. And I saw how they facilitate this, how they raise the capital. And it's a, I don't want to say it's a huge risk. It's not necessarily a huge risk, but these are 5 to 10 year projects. So I would want to have that financial freedom, because financial stability is you're making enough every month, you can live your life. Financial freedom is if you work or don't work, you're collecting a check. And so my long term would be, you know, first get stabilized with the apartment complexes, subdivisions, and commercial, have rental cash flow come in from that, to the point where I can continue doing that. But now I can take on these big dreams and visions of coming into different cities and regions and putting in what's missing.
I like
that missing puzzle piece. So that's my like long-term vision. If I could say, I think somebody asked the question, if you won the lottery and it was $1 billion, what would you do? That was my answer. That's what I would do.
That's so good. Bigger and better.
Yeah.
What's the difference between buying a potential property that will grow and appreciate versus building from the ground up? Ask the question.
What's the difference between buying a potential property that will appreciate over time or building something from the ground up? Very simple. Average appreciation is 3% a year. Let's roughly. It's been a little crazier with COVID. It's different. But 3% a year over 30 years would mean you're going to get roughly 90% return on your purchase. Even if you do a smaller down payment, it's still a very slow appreciation. With building, you'll have a 33% advantage from day one, or let's say year one, because it'll take you a year to build. But on the first day of the year, number one, you have 30% equity. So you've just saved 30%. You've just saved 10 years of appreciation. Cut back.
Good.
But let me ask you the question. If you bought a property and 30 years later, that property is now 30 years older. So if I buy a 1960 house and I remodel it, it's still a 1960 house. But in 30 years, it's 30 years older. New construction, you build it, you have 30% equity off the bat, and it's brand new. So you're not going to have as much maintenance issues and other things over the next 10, 15, 20 years versus buying an existing house. Like they say, the existing house is lipstick on a pig. New construction is you're literally, a new baby was born. So,
That's good.
What else we got?
Gotta get Jake's laugh in there, because that was hilarious.
What, you never heard that saying?
I have.
Lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
It's very normal. That's what they always say. Oh, this remodel, yeah, it's a 150-year-old house, unless you gut it. But 90% of remodelers are not going to gut it to the stud and then redo everything from the HVAC, plumbing, electrical, because it does not make sense financially, and you're going to lose money.
Yeah.
Because there's the other guys that will throw in 15, 20 grand of remodel, and so you're competing against them.
Yeah. That's good.
What else we got?
I wanted to say that it was really cool that you were able to learn under somebody that was already doing it, because you got to steward somebody else's belongings and now you're able to steward your own. And even when you dream for bigger, you're now able to say, like, I've already done it. And so you're more confident in that.
100%.
So back to like the question that I was saying about how can somebody get into real estate, not only like practically wholesaling and this and that, but it's like learning under somebody else that's already done it. It's already doing it.
Yeah.
And you said that's one of the things that if you were able to go back you would get under a mentor who's like 7 years ahead of you, or 10 years or whatever, and like
Absolutely.
learn right under them. So I think practically that's something they could do as well.
Yeah.
Um,
So people go to school for 2 years. They don't only go to school, they also write a check. College. People go to
Right.
college for 2 years and they write a check. Think about how crazy this is. And somebody's not willing to go work for free for someone to learn something that is an actual life skill that produce them income. School is going to get you a job.
yeah.
Working for someone for free is going to teach you a skill that can change your life forever. I would never have the vision that I have if I never worked for that company.
Yeah.
Do I regret
Yeah,
working
yeah.
for them? Absolutely not. Do I regret maybe not taking action faster? Dude, I could have wholesaled properties on the weekend. I knew it. I knew exactly how to do it. It had nothing to do with my job. I was developing. My boss wants nothing to do with a rundown house that's 200 grand. But if I went on the weekend, met with the seller, shook their hand, found a buyer,
It's good.
got a 10K fee, I would do that while working the job. Like I would dedicate, if you're not married or even if you are married, dedicate one weekend
A month.
a month, the
Just
full
grind it.
12 hours and just grind.
Yeah.
You have to get a deal a month. I just don't see it not possible, especially if you take specific action and you're very laser focused and sniper focused.
Right.
They say new builds are built with cheaper quality now because the quality of the wood is different. Is that true?
I mean, I'll ask you the question.
Re-ask the question because you're the mic. I don't have.
So is it nowadays it's cheaper quality builds as compared to older homes? Well, the thing is, no matter what, a 30-year-old used something is not going to be as nice as a brand new construction build. And if you were going to go restore a car, it'll cost you the same or more to restore that car versus buying one brand new from the dealer. So the same goes for real estate. Yeah, you can buy a house with really good bones, but it's going to cost you this more. It'll cost you more to get it into pristine condition and what a brand new construction home would cost. Even if you put nicer finishes, you put nicer insulation, nicer siding, you can do everything nicer. So if you're building new construction to sell, you do the wider colors, maybe add a little bit of just color to it. If you're building a rental, gray walls, nicer, I would say more sturdy floors, plastic tubs. I don't put tile because tile, just the grout, everything gets dirty. You do more efficient things for a rental versus a new construction to sell.
It's good.
Yep.
Alrighty.
I think that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. So that was my story. If you missed it, we also did that live, but we recorded a podcast on my story of how I got into real estate
You guys are just getting started.
and
People are enjoying it.
where I went from there.
So you guys got to keep talking.